just past them, and unless they had seen a decade prior, Saddam's forces pushing south, they wouldn't have known probably what's going on. That would have been a scary moment. But anyway, so this was flying. My guidon was still flying from the tank. There aren't actually bullet holes here. It's all frayed. I did take it down before bullets were being shot at me. But there were mortars being shot at me, both in a couple of different instances that I'll describe as well. So that's the guidon. I'm just going to put it here. And it's signed by some of my soldiers. I gave up command over there. All right. Here in the center is the map itself. These are the original battle graphics. Okay, so the process of getting these maps prepared it's difficult, especially when you're trying to do it in the desert, trying to keep sand out, so you'll see some sand and everything in here. And so I'll talk a little bit more about it, but these are the original graphics. They do wipe off, and so I got to figure out how to cover it again at some point to protect these. You'll actually see some writings where I was recording battle damage assessment and spot reports, situation reports from some of my guys, and I was recording the grids where they had engaged Iraqi or enemy targets. I still talk like I'm out on a range. I mean, the targets are people, and targets are houses sometimes, and vehicles and other things. But so you'll see some of those in here. Also over on the other table over there, my green books include a lot of those as well. So on top of my tank, I kept this, and you can imagine trying to keep this down while your tank's flying sometimes about 40 miles per hour, and everything else going on. And I have my green books to try to record stuff in too. Over to the right of it is the American flag. I flew that from my command post in Kosovo, and then I flew it again in Iraq. And so, I was a commander in Kosovo. That's when 9/11 occurred, as I stated this morning. And then about 18 months or so later, we were entering into Kuwait and then Iraq for the invasion. So that flag went with me, and so it just means a lot. On your seats are my sketches that you can also find in these green books over here. It'll be hard to read the notes. Those are some of my original notes and just a very, very brief narrative of what that engagement or that battle was. I'll go into a little bit more detail here. Well, one of the the old boss used to say perpi for purposes. One of the purposes of doing this for me is to unpack my experiences in 25 years or so. And so you're helping me in my lifelong learning by drawing it out and me describing it. And so eventually I'd like to fill this in and have a bunch of other photos and everything else. I can write the narrative too. So that's what you have in front of you. To be honest, I told the first and only other group I've talked to back in July that probably the only group in America maybe that's seen something like this. I don't know how many people brought their maps home. I probably did it at risk of arrest. I don't know. Maybe I've gone past the that point. But so between that and in these sketches, and the sketches were my sketches as we were first receiving the order to go into Iraq by our battalion staff, and as I was sketching it out, and then as we use them for preparations afterwards. And then there's a book over here on the table called On Point. It's the official U.S. Army history of Operation Iraqi Freedom 1, so 2003, 2004. And I'm in there a couple times, and that's not the point other than to say that it is documented, but there's so much to fill in between those few lines. But that this is out of On Point as well. And then there's a couple of photos. Main one is also on the cover of these sketches, which is a picture of the battalion commander standing in the front and all of his company commanders holding a captured Iraqi battle flag at Saddam International Airport on, I believe this is the 3rd. All right, there you go. 4 April. So that was the morning after. We seized it the night of the 3rd. And this is when he was able to gather the commanders to do a quick scrub of what happened, what's about to happen, and gather the commanders for this photo. Interestingly, not too long after this, he stripped down with a cigar and jumped in one of the lakes around one of Saddam's palaces. So he was made for Hollywood. Great guy, Lieutenant Colonel Rock Marcone. Troy might know Rock Marcone.
Extremely well known.
Yeah. And he said he was going to do it, and all the rest of us kept our stuff on. I have a Ranger vest on as well as my chicken vest, and we didn't take our stuff off. We're like, you're crazy. But he did it. So I did some photos, and you have some for me as a basic training private. That's a black and white photo. I entered in 1989, October 1989. There's a picture of me as a specialist next to it. That's my OCS photo. So I competed for and was accepted in Officer Candidate School, and that's how I became a commissioned officer. The photo next to it is me as a second lieutenant of armor down at 2nd Armored Cavalry Regiment. So I was in the cav. That was my first assignment. And then there's a photo there of me and President Aristide down in Haiti. So we did Operation Uphold Democracy in 1995 as part of 2nd ACR and 1st Brigade 25th Infantry Division, and we put on the blue hats to become United Nations peacekeepers. There's also a photo of me with one of my NCOs and a couple soldiers and some Haitians. Awesome people. That experience had actually more, I think, marked on me than this, possibly. We'll see. Just the contrast in wealth and poverty and the impact on me and my soldiers is incredible. And so that's something that every American, I think, besides this, every American should take with them, is that just how blessed we are and how wealthy we are, and how Haiti has been basically raped, savaged, whatever you want to call it, for years and years and years. So we need to continue to rebuild it. And there's a picture of my wife and my kids and myself at my retirement at the Pentagon in 2011. Okay, so, I'm sorry, and then there is one photo of me on top of my tank. So I was talking to one of the guys who were talking about Sergeant Paul Smith, about the Medal of Honor.
Probably Hurley, was it?
And maybe. So that picture is taken of me probably about 5 to 10 minutes before that firefight began, where Sergeant First Class Paul Smith was awarded the Medal of Honor for his fight to establish a prisoner of war holding area, and he was only half a mile away. I was conversing with a fellow company commander of mine about what was happening. We were at Saddam International Airport, and it's just we couldn't get the right forces over to reinforce in time. So that photo is actually very timely, I guess, in that instance. And you can also see kind of some of the gear we wore there, the CBC helmet and the flak vest. I didn't have all my armor plates in at that time, I don't believe. Some of the gloves below. Below it was the Nomex suit, which is a tanker suit, fire retardant. Zips up and down. That's great. Everyone loves it because you can get all. What's that?
That's a retardant, not bait proof.
Yeah. But on top of all that, we wore our JS list, and I don't even remember what the acronym stands for, but it's your chemical suit. And so we'd been about 4 weeks in that getup with no showers or anything else. So imagine the stank. All right, so if you could take your seats, please.
Right before dinner, you guys say
We'll walk through.
Let's see.
No, I'm going to talk through yours.